Taliban from Pakistan. My name is Rasi. I originally was born in Pakistan, it is true. Come from Pakistan, and now, of course, for the last about 30 years, more than 30 years, I am an American citizen. I spent more my life, I have lived more of my life here in the United States more than in Pakistan. Came as a graduate student here at the Temple University, and in one sense, that is a kind of experience which I always have shared with Harold Bogler. When I was a small child of about maybe 3 or 4, this is the earliest thing I can remember. You know that Pakistan and India partitioned in 1947. So the only thing I remember is that one night as a child I saw strange people at our home, and also some lamps, of course, in the village where I grew up. Even up till now there is no electricity. Now recently it went. So there were different kind of lamps which I have not seen before at that room, and there were strange people. At night came, and when I woke up in the morning they were not there. So later on I came to learn that that these were the Hindus, friends from our village at that time, the time of partition. People were just seeking refuge because they were being looted by when partition became. So the Hindus had to leave from the Pakistan area to India, and Muslims had to leave from India to Pakistan. And at that time, many people were kind of looted, and they could only take whatever they could take, but there was always danger. And particularly in our village, the Hindus were very rich and have a lot of jewelry and those kind of, in other words, wealth. And my father somehow happened to be the most trustworthy and kind of protective person, which he later on, of course, the consequences he suffered later. But he was the one who gave them protection and took them all the way to the place where they would take train and should be under the cover of the or under the protection of the government. That experience led me basically, I don't know, it was the impact of that experience I always thirst for, even though I grew up as a Muslim and went to the Muslim classical, or you could say the traditional schools, madrasa what we call, where the Taliban go. So I studied in madrasa, then I came to the university, and but there was my thirst for other religious traditions. So I was fortunate to find out that at Temple University in Philadelphia was one of the very excellent programs where you study each religious tradition by the adherents of that religious tradition. And it was a wonderful faculty and wonderful program. So I came there to study basically and did my PhD in comparative religion, and then I started teaching. I still was planning to go back to Pakistan. By the time I was still planning children growing up and going to now school, so it was difficult for them to go back. So that's how my, in other words, entrance into United States became. In 1980, I taught at different places, but in 1983, Muslims established a small liberal arts college in Chicago called the American Islamic College. In 1983, I came there, and in early 1984, I met Dr. Harold Bogler. Of course, as soon as I came, I was interested in interfaith, interreligious dialogue, and I had participated already since 1970 from Islamabad, Pakistan. But in 1984, Dr. Harold Bogler came to Lutheran School of Theology, and then at that time, I think he was given the function to explore the Muslim communities in the Chicago area. So we met, and from there our friendship, or you could say the interaction, started. Later on, of course, I started teaching also at Lutheran School of Theology for the last 18 years, and also teaching at Catholic Theological Union and different other institutions. One thing which I would share, I think is important, I have shared with some of you before, that in 1984, when we started a small organization called Conference for Improved Christian-Muslim Relations, which does not exist anymore. At that time, we were the only group as on the institutional level, which means that people from different theological schools or universities and colleges, we got together to think of Christian-Muslim relations and improving the Christian-Muslim relations and interfaith dialogue. It was, to some extent I would say, I might be partly right and partly wrong, it was to some extent, I think, with the passage of time and with indirect impact of it, immediately then started Council for the Parliament of World Religions, and those of us who were involved in this first conference, we also were active original founding members or trustees of this Council for the Parliament of World Religions. And later on, even it had impact upon, there is a conference for Christian and Jewish relations, that which has been now even transformed to call Conference for Community and Justice. So you can see that how much impact this left. And we are very glad, and of course I don't know how much I am very appreciative and thankful to God and